Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Basketball Conference, the ACC Football Podcast. My name's Joey Weaver. He is Mike McDaniel. Mike, week 3 in the books. Lots to talk about. What was your favorite one-score win of the Brent Pry era?
Maybe the only one he had.
Specifically, the only one he had. Do you remember what it was? I genuinely don't.
That I should, but it has skipped my mind. I'm too happy to even think about it.
Yeah, there you go. It is Sunday, September the 14th. It is a few minutes after 11 o'clock on the East Coast, and Virginia Tech is now without a permanent head coach as they have fired Brent Pry today. We'll get into that. We had a lot that went on in week 3 in the ACC. Mike, just off the top, can I just throw it out there? Not a great week for the ACC.
Not
perception-wise.
Great. Not good.
You did have Miami dominate a ranked out-of-conference opponent. You did have Cal beat a Big Ten team by 2 scores. But you also had Virginia Tech and Duke lose to G5 opponents. You had Pitt lose to West Virginia. And you had one of your national title contenders get upset on the road.
Jackets.
We'll get into that for sure. Overall, not a great week for the ACC in terms of perception, but a lot of fun games to talk about nonetheless.
Yeah. I shut off the Virginia Tech game with 6 minutes to go in the second quarter. So that's how that went. They were kicked out of my quad box. So you and I are feeling very differently about our week 3 viewing experience. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. We had another game on the TV that the wife was interested in. And she was like, is there something else we need to be watching right now? I was like, nah, we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
We'll get into it. We're live, youtube.com/@the-ACC Football Podcast. Appreciate the people joining us. We got a bunch of people in the chat already with us. Appreciate the patience here. I know we were going to go live Saturday night. We did not end up doing that due to some scheduling difficulties. But
Sorry.
Appreciate the folks. It happens. Appreciate the folks hanging with us and joining us here on a Sunday evening. Excited to kind of talk about the week that was. Mike, anything we need to get into before we hit our Rhoback Rapid Recap?
No, I think let's get into it. Let's fire away and let's start recapping these games.
Let's do it. Do you have a 10-minute timer?
Oh, do I? It would be.
Is there a ducky timer?
Let's see the sound effect we can get this week.
We do not have producer Scott with us tonight. I will paraphrase what he said earlier, that he feels like hell, basically.
Yeah, he's sick.
Yeah, sick as a dog, apparently. So he is not with us tonight, but he will hopefully be rejoining us when we preview week 4 here in the coming days.
That's a good one.
There you go. Nice.
Little chirp. I'm trying to set my kid is sleeping across the hall, so it can only be so loud.
Right. Yeah, I can't be too excited there. Okay. 10 minutes on the clock if you're ready, Mike.
In 3, 2, 1, go, Joey.
NC State 34, NC State 34, Wake Forest 24 on Thursday night. Absolutely perfect ACC game. Went completely sideways, not in any way that we thought it was going to go, but ultimately a good win for NC State. Pulled the shutout in the second half over Wake Forest.
Yeah, tale of 2 halves for the Pack. They were looking a little dicey early. Wake Forest had a lot of momentum. They were scoring some points. They were a little feisty on defense. CJ Bailey played much better in the second half. The defense especially played much better in the second half. And NC State's the better team, and they come out of Winston-Salem with a win. A little bit of a house of horror situation there the last few times out over there at Winston-Salem. So big win for NC State.
Yeah, it took them a while to get control of that game, but once they did, they asserted that they are the dominant team there in that game for this year at least. Syracuse 66, Colgate 24 from Friday night. Nice win for Syracuse. Pretty solid from start to finish. And I will say that I was impressed. They scored 21 in the fourth quarter, Mike. Good that they had the endurance after they had to run those sprints after the game last week.
It's probably good they didn't continue to do that, right?
Oh, yeah, probably. No running this week. On to Saturday, Georgia Tech 24, the number 12, Clemson Tigers 21. Mike, they did it.
Jackets.
I was wrong. Couldn't be happier. We'll get into it. A lot of thoughts on this game, but ultimately, we talked about in the summer that Georgia Tech, if they could start 3-0 on the off chance, the whole thing opens up for them the whole rest of the season. And got some high hopes going on right now in this fan base of kind of what might come next.
Sorry, some hilarious comments about Syracuse and Colgate in particular, and we'll bring them back up again when we briefly touch on that game later.
Mm-hmm.
Very impressed with Georgia Tech. I have a lot of thoughts about Clemson, man. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
And not to take anything away from the Jackets, they played great. They were the better team. But my God, Clemson, what are we doing on offense, man?
Yeah. A lot of thoughts really on both sides of that game, honestly.
Yeah.
We will spend plenty of time on that to be sure. Number 5, Miami, 49. Number 12, number 18, South Florida, 12. Really easy. Like, this is an absolute dominant start to finish performance for Miami. There was a weather delay in here that didn't seem to affect anything. South Florida, I don't know that there was necessarily a give up factor here, like we talked about in the preview. There could be, but either way, Miami absolutely dominated this from start to finish.
Yeah, and Miami's favorite against Florida this Saturday, and I think we know why after watching South Florida in the last 2 weeks. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I think that's warranted. Virginia 55, William & Mary 16. Virginia kind of an imperfect team still, but man, that offense has been cooking early this year, and I think they can ride that to a pretty solid finish in the ACC.
Yeah, I would be shocked if they didn't beat Virginia Tech, but stranger things have happened.
Especially in that rivalry, that's for sure. SMU 28, Missouri State 10. Really sloppy, messy performance from SMU here.
Bad. Maybe
a bit of a sandwich spot here coming off the Baylor loss and then with TCU next week. But yeah, was really hoping for a little bit more from SMU here. But, a win's a win. They did get some margin. If I'm disappointed, I guess I'm disappointed they didn't cover, and my lock did not come home.
Missouri State was driving to score in the second half and threw an interception in the end zone, and that was basically it for Missouri State offensively. So SMU tightened the screws a bit on defense, but man, that was not exactly an awe-inspiring performance.
Yeah, a win's a win, but that's kind of all it was for SMU. So
yep.
We'll talk about that. West Virginia 31, Pitt 24 in overtime in the backyard brawl.
I told you.
Absolute disaster for Pitt. The way that this unfolded, you had the lead late, needed one stop, couldn't get it, go to overtime, give up another touchdown, and then just absolute mess on offense. The 4 plays of overtime you tried to run. Absolute disaster class from Pitt in this game. And really just for a lot of it, I just did not look good by and large throughout this game.
I mean, blew a 10-point fourth quarter lead, absolutely fell apart on offense. Eli Holstein was in hell the entire game. West Virginia's pass rush really bothered Pittsburgh's offensive line. I expected more out of Pitt.
Yeah.
That was pretty disappointing.
I cannot believe your lock on this game got home. There's just if Pitt gets one stop in the fourth quarter, we're done. And yet they did not.
Well,
so
I will say I felt like I was on the right side for most of this game until the fourth quarter, like being in the fourth quarter. Then I was like, man, this is I texted you guys. I was like, this is a really unfortunate way to lose this lock. And it came home.
Yeah. Somehow, some way.
Never in doubt. 5 minutes ago. We're good.
North Carolina 41, Richmond 6. Fine. That honestly probably the best performance North Carolina's had so far. So maybe we got some building going on there.
Yeah, caught some of the second half here. It was in my ACC quad box, and they looked like the better team. So
yeah, there you go. Forward progress for North Carolina. Good stuff. Okay, Old Dominion 45, Virginia Tech 26 in a game that the Hokies looked like they had basically zero interest in playing from the opening kick, Mike.
I'm wearing a basketball shirt, Virginia Tech basketball shirt, because the season's over, baby.
Yeah, we're done. Pack it up. Yep, we will talk about that for sure. Tulane 34, Duke 27. Not an impressive performance from Duke. Again, they looked a little bit slow here. Tulane gets out to a big lead early, and Duke unable to complete the comeback in the fourth quarter. Duke's 1-2. Not a great start for the Blue Devils.
Nope. Expected more, although we did know it was kind of a tough non-conference stretch. You had to play Illinois, then you got to play Tulane, and that's really tough. But, man, I was not very encouraged by what I saw out of Duke on Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah, this team makes a good number of mistakes, it feels like. And so that's something to monitor. Cal 27, Minnesota 14. Look at you, Cal. Getting it done in a spot that we weren't sure that you would. JKS continues to look really impressive. 3 touchdowns, no picks. Really good showing from Cal. That defense in particular, I was very impressed by the way they handled a physical, capable Minnesota offense.
Bowl team. They're bold.
Yeah. They're 3-0, baby.
Halfway home.
They are halfway there. They're halfway there. And finally, in a game of teams that neither of which might make a bowl game, Stanford 30, Boston College 20. This was, I'm starting to wonder about this like West Coast road trip situation. Like Stanford last year picked off Syracuse and Louisville, and now this year they're picking off a Boston College team. Like all this is at home, but no, that's not true. They beat Syracuse in the dome last year, but I can't come up with an explanation for why Boston College looked like hell here relative to what they have looked like the first couple weeks, except for long travel for a second straight week, maybe an emotional letdown after the loss to Michigan State. I don't know. I shocked that Stanford pulled this off. And by the way, Stanford, Ben Goldbranson, almost 200 yards passing. What are we doing, Boston College?
Well, I regret to inform everybody that Stanford team total under 12.5. In fact, did not get home.
Yeah. More than double that.
Yeah. This is rough for BC here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is pretty bad. I was watching this game. I couldn't believe it. I mean, we were texting in the group chat like, "Hey, what's going on over there at Stanford?"
Yeah. Yeah. Really bizarre stuff, honestly, went on in the Bay Area last night. So
bad.
We'll talk about that. How do we do on time, Mike?
Good. Minute 45 to spare.
That's your Rhoback Rapid Recap. Use promo code GOACC20 at checkout for 20% off your first order, rhoback.com. All sorts of wonderful performance wear, polos, athleisure wear. They've got new stuff coming out all the time. Q-zips, hoodies, anything you need. Rhoback.com. Use promo code GOACC20 at checkout. Check out the game day collection. Highly recommended. Most ACC schools seem to have a few shirts on there. They look great. If they're anything like all of Rhoback's other gear, they're super high quality. And Rhoback, if you want me to know that for sure, you can send me one. I'm sure they're listening, Mike. They're listening for sure.
We have a contact there, obviously.
We do. So, that's true. All right, Mike, let's get into these games. Where should we start?
Want to talk about jackets, or do you want to talk about Brent Pry getting fired? It's got to be one of those two to start.
Let's start with Brent Pry, just because I know that you were already having that conversation tonight. We'll start in Blacksburg. Old Dominion 45, Virginia Tech 26. As mentioned, we found out around lunchtime today, Brent Pry officially removed from the position, relieved of his duties. Virginia Tech looked completely uninspired in this game. There was, again, we mentioned last week, still this week, lots of quit that we saw here. They did not really want to play for him at all. I sometimes have questions about Kyron Drones too.
He's terrible.
Some of what he looks like and whether the guys really want to play for him or not.
He's bad. Yeah.
Bad situation in Blacksburg. And it starting 0-3 like this and the way that it's all kind of played out. We were texting back and forth last night. It's like, the school president's hand is going to be forced here. You have to make this move because this is looking horrific. This is going to be a just complete and total embarrassment for the next 9 weeks if you don't do it.
Yeah, I just went into this like in depth for a little over an hour on my Virginia Tech podcast, but this is a broader audience, so I'll just give you the Spark Notes version. So it broke around noon. I was thinking around late morning that this isn't happening today, and then at noon it breaks. It's like, okay, we're firing Pry. Couple things. Number one, the message, right? The official announcement from the program saying that Pry was fired did not come from athletic director Whit Babcock. It came from President Tim Sands. Joey, you and I know, and our listeners know that generally what happens when you fire a head coach is the athletic director releases a statement. That did not happen here. Instead, the school president released a statement basically saying that Pry's relieved of his duties, yada, 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 unacceptable performance on the field. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All that good stuff. The stuff that you say when you fire a coach.
Right.
And then he got into Whit Babcock and how Whit Babcock is going to be working with the Board of Visitors to essentially outline a plan for the future of Virginia Tech athletics and basically just going a bit more into the initiative for more institutional funding for the program on a go-forward basis, which basically Whit's presentation, which is probably going to be one of the last things he ever did, is obviously striking a chord within the athletic department and broader administration, which is a good thing for Virginia Tech moving forward from an outlook standpoint. Now,
might have been wrong about the Pry hire. Wasn't wrong about that.
Wasn't wrong about that. In fact, very correct about that. Now, there's been some reporting from the beat writers this afternoon that Whit Babcock will not be he'll be a part of the search for the next head coach at Virginia Tech, but he will not be a part of the decision-making. Essentially, he will be assisting with the search, but not making the call. That's going to be a broader board of visitors / some other important athletic department folk that reside higher than Whit Babcock. So essentially, the long and short is Whit's running this funding initiative to get Virginia Tech the football funding and working with the board of visitors on that. Then he's probably going to retire. Like, he's going to step aside. Virginia Tech will be searching for a new athletic director. He will not be around. He will not be making this hire. But he'll be here for the near term as Virginia Tech basically gets their funding right internally in-house. Okay, so that's all well and good. Pry was fired because Virginia Tech was skunked at halftime. It was 28-0. For those of you who didn't watch the game, Virginia Tech was down 4 scores to an in-state school that is in the group of 6 that, Brent Pry was talking about, we're going to be a flagship school in the state and all that stuff that you say when you're trying to win over recruits and win the press conference. And he said all that stuff, and then he lost to Old Dominion twice. So, yeah, great. Never lost to UVA, though. So, feather in his cap, I guess. So he's gone. He was in way over his head, clearly. Nice guy. Wish him the best, but this had to be done. Candidates, real quick, Joey, because nobody cares about this actual game. Candidates with some level of informed knowledge. I can give you the following list of candidates that Virginia Tech will at least reach out to. And this is as of 11:22 p.m. on the day that Brent Pry is fired. So this list is going to expand and, okay, whatever. They're going to reach out to John Summerall at Tulane. I will put $15 on the fact that I do not believe he will be the next Virginia Tech head coach, because I think he's got bigger fish to fry in the SEC, a la like Florida if they fire Napier, or Ole Miss if Lane leaves for Florida. Basically, it's going to be a 2-man race for that job, I think.
I was going to say, if this were 2003 and we had to monitor how many cell phone minutes we're using, they would not be making that phone call to John Summerall. That would not be a good use of those minutes.
Yeah. So that's they're going to go at, like Singular Wireless or something. Was it is Cricket still a thing? Cricket Wireless?
It is.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's still around. So they're going to call John Summerall because he's the top G5, G6. Sorry, it's still new to me. The top G6 candidate. Yeah. They're going to make a call to him. I expect him to say thanks, but no thanks. Probably the same thing with Alex Golesh, even though I think it's probably a year too early anyway. I think he probably needs one more good year at South Florida, but I'm sure he'll get some calls and he'll have his pick of jobs that he wants. I think it's a little more likely that Golesh would come to Blacksburg than Summerall, but I don't think that's very likely either. I think Virginia Tech will make a call there. Virginia Tech's going to call Bob Chesney at James Madison. I think that is a chance of something that could definitely happen. He attended Hampton-Sydney in Virginia, played football there. He's coached at Holy Cross. He's now coached a good program at James Madison. He is still not even 50. He's like 46 or 47 years old. He's coached a lot of football. He's won a lot of games at multiple levels. I think he would be a very intriguing candidate, and he's in state, and he's got a bunch of ties to the area. I think that hire would make a lot of sense.
Yep.
So I expect Bob Chesney to be a major player here. Jeff Monken at Army, I think, is going to get a call. Whether or not he wants to actually leave Army remains to be seen, but he's been taking calls in recent coaching carousel and coaching cycles, so he's going to be on the list. Ryan Silverfield from Memphis is going to be on the list. There's a theme here, Joey. I'm listing a bunch of people who are sitting head coaches. I would be very, very surprised if Virginia Tech goes coordinator again. That does not have any head coaching experience. Now, people are going to ask, what's Virginia Tech going to pay for this job? Like, what are they going to pay in the open market for a head coach? I think that's a fair question. But I think if you're as serious about this as you say you are, with like resetting the athletic department and pushing a bunch of money institutionally into your big time athletics programs, you have to be willing to pay for a head coach here. Especially, you got to get this one right.
Mm-hmm.
So when people say stuff like Dan Mullen, like I could see them reaching out to Dan Mullen. I could see them. The John Gruden stuff is ridiculous, but I could see them, like, if they wanted to make a splash and wanted to call somebody and pay a bunch of money for a guy who's coached elsewhere.
Yeah.
Could they make like those types of phone calls? Yeah, they probably should. Now, I don't know what this job is on the open market. We're going to find out pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But I would be very, very surprised if Virginia Tech goes coordinator hire here after what transpired. That would shock me. I think it's going to be more in the mold of Justin Fuente, where you're getting a guy who is coached and will hopefully be a better fit in terms of interacting with boosters and that sort of thing. I just, out of the guys I mentioned, I think Chesney would be good. I think Monken would be really good. I think those are two names for sure. I mean, I would love Summerall. Summerall's my favorite candidate on the list, but I just don't think I do not think it's very realistic. Yeah. And speaking of guys who aren't realistic that are probably going to get a phone call, one of them definitely will. Shane Beamer, he's not coming. He's not. I mean, he's in a better job it's a tough job, like in the SEC, but it's a much better job. He keeps doing interviews saying stuff like, in Blacksburg, I'll always be Frank's son. Like, he does not want to coach at Virginia Tech. Like, I think he's good on that.
I don't get the sense that there's any sort of sentimentality there with Shane and Blacksburg. Like, what would be the gain for him to leave South Carolina for Virginia Tech? I mean, you're not going to make more money. You might eventually win a few more games, but that's assuming that some of the investments come in and, like, you know, you're able to kind of lap a couple people in the ACC probably. Like, I don't see the upside for that at all. And he's not going to get fired by the Gamecocks either. Like, he's doing perfectly fine down there. They're like a top 12 team this week.
That's what I'm saying. Now, if he was like on the hot seat at South Carolina, I think it would be more realistic, where it's like, okay, like, I'm on the hot seat. I don't know how this is going. Like, basically pulling a Satterfield sort of thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this isn't going great at Louisville. Let me go elsewhere.
I mean, I think the Jeff Monken, Bob Chesney, I think Dan Mullen, I said this about when Georgia Tech was trying to replace Jeff Collins. I think it applies to Virginia Tech too. I think Dan Mullen could be a really good hire there. And the big criticism of him at Florida was that, he didn't recruit all that well. Well, he kind of did. Like, I think he was pulling in like top 12 and 15 recruiting classes every year. And I guess it's not a top 5 or 6 recruiting class, so it's not good enough for Florida, but like, it's pretty damn good. Yeah. B, recruiting ability is not really like a thing anymore. It's more about how much money you have to give to people. And C, he can coach some ball and he can score some points and at least build some excitement around the program that you haven't had really in a few years. So
I would like it. I mean, I'd be game.
Any of those, like, I'd completely get it. And, would really kind of like it for the Hokies. So, yeah, I mean, we got a lot to keep track of here as this continues to develop. I do think the Babcock situation is very interesting in the way that it was all kind of set up of, we're going to consult with him on the next hire, but he's not making that hire himself. It's like, well, that's a pretty loud and clear signal of where he's at in the athletic department.
It's a nice way of saying, he's still employed for now, but he won't be.
Yeah.
The one guy who will not be Virginia Tech's next head coach, and if he is, it's because we just saw Chase Sigmund in the comments mention this, so we can bring it up right now. No, Norfolk State head coach Michael Vick, who's like 3 games into his coaching career, will not be the next head coach at Virginia Tech. That would be, even if you thought it could work, you cannot in good conscience go that route right now. You cannot do, like, after Fuente, like, if this was a different time and you were like, all right, guys, like, what are we doing? Back to the drawing board. You cannot make that hire now. Like, this has gone too far south. You can't hire a guy who's only coached 3 college football games. You cannot do it.
I was actually thinking he was talking about Marcus Vick. But then I remember that you had said that you need someone with head coaching experience, and it's like, Michael Vick makes much more sense there, given his background. A head coach.
Yeah.
I had to actually go check Marcus Vick's Wikipedia page real quick just to make sure that
it's not good. Do some scrolling. It's not
like
great. We'll leave that off the recording.
I don't think he's still in prison, but
background check could be rough for him.
hadn't
Michael
gone
Vick
great.
will overlook a little bit, I think. Well, you've repented.
Yeah. Anyways, anything else on the Hokies and this coaching search mainly?
Better days ahead.
You said interim's not JC Price, right? It's
Philip Montgomery.
Why? This is JC Price's purpose on staff, right? Is to be the interim when someone gets fired.
Yeah, he's like the Odell Haggins of Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
I think it's probably because they have so many games left.
Yeah. I mean, you never know. Like, you got Wofford next week, NC State, Wake Forest. Like, you could get a little bit of a dead cat bounce here and, make it a little bit frisky in Charlottesville Thanksgiving weekend. Who knows?
Upset Georgia Tech. Go on a little run late in the year. Catch Florida State asleep. All of a sudden, you're in the ACC title game.
Georgia Tech fans went from, assuming that they were going to lose to Clemson to assuming they're now going to screw it up some other way. So, stranger things have clearly happened than that one.
We've talked about this for like 13 minutes, so we can move on. But the one final thing I want to say is that there is a non-zero chance Virginia Tech goes 1-11, which would be hilarious. I mean, they got Wofford this weekend. They should win. But and the remaining schedule is not the hardest, but it's not the easiest either. Like, you have a few guaranteed losses in there.
So the half gets tougher than the front half was, I would say. Yeah. You've got 5 games in a row at Georgia Tech, Cal, Louisville, at Florida State, and Miami. At this point, it would be kind of impressive if you won any of those. Maybe Cal. I don't know. We'll see. Fun times in Blacksburg.
Man, I thought it could go south. I did not expect it. Not like this, Brent Pry. Not 45-24 on your home field and down 4 scores at halftime. And I saw a tweet saying that, remember, Pry's got a buyout that's more than $6 million because he hasn't coached this full season. You had to be $6 million after the year if you fired him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, remember, it's more than $6 million, and all of these players can just opt out and, redshirt, and Virginia Tech's not going to tank their roster like that.
Mm-hmm.
Saw that tweet from On3. I'm like, fuck, they're not. Sorry. They're you don't get blown out like that on your home field against an in-state group of 6 team and get dog walks like that and have your coach go out there and run the same thing out the next week. They are not doing that. Mesmerizing. So they made the right decision. This was the right time.
Absolutely.
It was time.
Absolutely. Old Dominion 45, Virginia Tech 26. Should we go to Atlanta, Mike?
Jackets.
Give the people what they want. Georgia Tech 24, number 12 Clemson 21. Aiden Burr hits a 55-yard field goal as time expires. The field gets rushed. All 4 uprights from both field goal posts come down. There's at least 2 of them that ended up in the president's pool. Maybe all of them did. Hard to say. Wild game. Georgia Tech gets up to a 13-0 lead early in the second quarter. And then Clemson is dead to rights. They have 3rd and 22 with about 8 minutes, a little under 8 minutes left till halftime. They run a little draw play to Adam Randall. He goes for about 30 yards on that play. Clemson gets some momentum. They end up going in. They score a touchdown with about 30 seconds left until halftime. This long 7-minute, 16-play, 75-yard drive right before halftime. They score 13-7 at the half. And it just felt like Clemson. They come out of halftime, 7 plays, 66 yards. They're knocking on the door to score again. It felt like they had all the momentum. Georgia Tech intercepts a pass in the end zone or near it. Omar Daniels runs it back. Should have been a pick 6. Wasn't. Missed a block here or there. He gets taken down about midfield. Georgia Tech's offense is stalling. Clemson 2 plays, 76 yards, touchdown, a long catch and run for Bryant Wesco. Georgia Tech then gets it's listed on ESPN as a fumble. It's more of a turnover on downs. They get really cute trying to go for it on 4th and 1, snap it to a tight end who doesn't hold on to the ball. I mean, there was some stuff. And then, Georgia Tech scores, goes up, 13 plays, 90 yards. They're a 7-point lead. Clemson goes down, scores with about 3 minutes left, ties the game. And then Georgia Tech just slowly converts a couple third downs, creeps
Made
it
me nervous.
the edge of field goal territory. And unlike so many of these before, Aiden Burr good from 55 yards. It was a wild scene, Mike. It was a wild game. Lots of thoughts here. What were your initial takeaways?
Well, I think the better team won the game. That's the takeaway.
The team that played better yesterday?
I thought, yes, the team that played better yesterday won the game. Yes, I think obviously talent perspective, Clemson's got better players, but I thought the better team won the game, and honestly, the more consistent team in 2025 through the opening month won the game.
Sure.
Yeah, I thought going into it that we would kind of see Clemson play with a little bit more urgency, but honestly, this is kind of what they are on offense, especially. And you look at the box score and you look at, the total offense numbers, and it's actually not that, it doesn't look that bad for Clemson, but if you watch them play, it's like, man, they get themselves in a lot of 3rd and long situations. They get themselves in obvious passing downs, and it just doesn't seem like Cade's got it, right? And this has been the story with him his entire career, really, except for like the back half of last season against lesser competition. It's the question with him has been, when is he going to reach his full potential? And Clemson didn't have a couple offensive linemen in this game. They didn't have Antonio Williams in this game, but that's no excuse for how this offense has looked. And I keep thinking about the Dabo Swinney comment that we picked apart last year, where early in the year, where it was like, oh, it's Garrett Riley stuff and Clemson stuff. And it just doesn't feel like a Garrett Riley offense in the way that it did towards the back half of last season. And I don't know if that's an execution thing or what. I thought Georgia Tech's defense played well on Saturday, and I don't want to take anything away from Georgia Tech, but the Clemson offensive issues, like, they kind of carried over from obviously the LSU game, but you kind of put that in its own box because of who you're playing. And the Troy game, where you're looking at, you're like, okay, wait a minute, what's going on here? And then that carried over into this game in Atlanta, and you're like, all right, this is what they are on offense, right? Like, this is what, like, they are who they are on offense. When somebody shows you who they are, believe them, and this is what they are offensively. And I thought Georgia Tech offensively did what they could. I thought Clemson's defense, by and large, played pretty well in this game and gave them a chance to win. They did, for sure. And Georgia Tech did the thing that they do in every big game with Brent Key and Haynes King. They ran the piss out of the ball with Haynes King in particular. It's time, like, thinking about the Georgia game last year, the Georgia game 2 years ago, this game, Haynes King, Miami. Whenever there's a big game, you can guarantee that Haynes King is going to run the ball 15 to 20 times. In this case, on Saturday, he ran the ball 25 times. 15 to 20 times. He's going to lead your team in carries. He's likely going to lead your team in rushing yards. He's going to throw for somewhere between 175 and 250 yards, and he's going to be damn effective doing it. And that's exactly what he did on Saturday. And this was this is how Georgia Tech wins these games under Brent Key.
Yep.
The Jackets are now 7-1 against ranked conference competition in the Brent Key era. And it has worked out swimmingly for the Jackets with Brent Key as head coach. I know there's been bumps in the road. I'm sure at some point this year, Georgia Tech will lose a dumb one, and we'll be sitting here doing a recap. Like, what the hell were they doing? I'm sure that'll come up at some. Maybe it won't, and that'd be great. But, like, I'm sure we'll be talking about it at some point, because that's what tends to happen.
The real challenge now is to avoid that dumb loss when you see what's ahead of them on the schedule.
Because Georgia Tech should be in Atlanta looking at their schedule. They have an outside shot at making the college football playoff.
You mean in Charlotte?
I'm sorry, in Charlotte. Excuse me, not Atlanta.
They are in Atlanta. I mean, technically, but
they should make it. They should make it to Charlotte. They have. You look at the schedule. The path is there, and they're playing very consistent football right now. They should be able to make it there.
Mhm.
And then, depending on who they play and what happens in that game, they will have a chance to potentially make the college football playoff.
Mhm.
And all of that happened because Georgia Tech is very consistent under Key in these big games. They are going to show up almost each and every time. They're going to show up and play well and play this type of game. They're going to lean on their defense. They're going to run the ball with Haynes King, and they're going to rely on his efficiency as a passer and hope they make fewer mistakes than the other team.
Mhm.
And that's how they win or stay competitive in games like this against a team with better players.
Yep.
And on Clemson's side, you're making your bed with the fact that your offense still cannot get out of its own way, and you have to rely on a defense that I think a lot of people were expecting to be elite, but is actually just pretty good or really good rather than elite. And I think a lot of that is because they're on the field a ton. And so that's another part of it. So you need the defense to be perfect, and it's not perfect. And then you need the offense to be better than what it's been, and it's not. So, I mean, there are some other losses potentially on Clemson's schedule here. I think it's a real look in the mirror moment for Clemson's football program, considering what they used to be. But Georgia Tech, I mean, huge win, and it was about the Jackets on Saturday. But the impact on Clemson, I mean, we have to mention it here because it's startling what they were and where they are now.
Oh, for sure. A few thoughts here, and I want to go back to what you said about Clemson's offense. And I mean, I found myself thinking, again, basically right up until that 3rd and 22 conversion for Adam Randall. Literally the play before that, Cade Klubnik takes a snap and trips over his own feet and goes down for like a loss of 3 or 4, basically. Nobody touched him. Nobody got anywhere close. Cade Klubnik looked like he was in a blender for the first 20 minutes of this game, basically. Like, looked incredibly uncomfortable, looked very unsure of where to go with the ball, very hesitant. I don't know. Maybe Georgia Tech was running some kind of weird stuff on the back end that had him seeing some ghosts or something, but he looked so uncomfortable. And again, just we've talked about it before plenty of times. Like, you really expect more from a guy like Cade Klubnik with his pedigree and what, the recruiting ranking and 3rd-year starter, 3rd year with the same play caller, like everything. You really expect more, and they haven't been getting it. Clemson had 9 possessions in this game. 3 of them were 3 and outs. Another one was 12 yards.
Yeah.
So that's 4 of your 9 possessions that you accomplished nothing, basically. They had a missed field goal early in the game. That was another miscue. Clemson had opportunities here, and they weren't able to cash in. As I mentioned, Clemson's defense, I was impressed by. I mean, again, Georgia Tech comes up with nearly, with a little over 350 yards, but it took 70 snaps to get there. 5 yards per play on balance is really not a ton. Like, I felt like Clemson's defensive line especially was, and to some degree the linebackers as well, were causing Georgia Tech issues all day. 8 tackles for loss. They did have a sack in there. Haynes King was about the only thing that was working in the run game for Georgia Tech. Jamal Haynes was their 2nd leading rusher, 12 carries for 26 yards. The Georgia Tech offensive line was just not going to be able to physically dominate this Clemson front, even in the way that they did Georgia's front at times last year in that game. So impressed with Clemson's defense. Again, I thought that they probably did enough more or less to win the game on defense. Offense was, again, a different story. Georgia Tech's defense, I didn't love the game plan here, honestly. We've seen through 2 weeks LSU and Troy like send the house and send pressure at Cade Klubnik and make him uncomfortable. Georgia Tech did very little of that in this game. There was a lot of 3- and 4-man rush in this game and just sitting back trying to play coverage. I didn't get that. I don't know how Georgia Tech wins a game here that they had 0 tackles for a loss the entire game.
Yeah.
You gave a lot of the receivers a lot of room for a lot of the game. Bryant Resco had a huge day, 7 catches for 126, did have the touchdown. The way that the final 40 or so minutes of this game played out, when Clemson was about to go in and score to take the lead after halftime, I remember, my wife said, "Oh, this isn't good." And I was like, "Yeah, it was a fun quarter and a half, wasn't it?" Because then Clemson started to take over, and thankfully Omar Daniels comes up with the interception and, was able to kind of flip it a little bit. But ultimately my takeaway here, Mike, I'm not sure that either team played a particularly great game here. I wasn't really all that impressed with, I think both offenses missed some opportunities. I thought the game plans were a little bit iffy. Some of the play calling, especially on Georgia Tech's end. I've usually not been all that critical of Buster Faulkner, but I thought there were times here where it got a little bit too cute. And that's the thing, though, is it is fantastic seeing Georgia Tech beat Clemson in a game where I felt like there was a lot of room for improvement and there was a lot of things that they can clean up and get better at. And I do think that the run game in particular is going to be a lot more efficient most of the games they play this year against fronts that are not Clemson's, against defensive coordinators that are not Tom Allen. So there's a lot of room to grow there. And especially when you look at the schedule and you look at what's ahead of them, there's a lot of reason to have some faith and some excitement in Georgia Tech going forward. But again, that's always the thing with Georgia Tech is avoid one. And, they've been really good against ranked teams under Brent Key, but they've also had a good number of brain fart losses from time to time. And that feels like it's kind of been true for, 2 decades now. So that's the thing you're trying to avoid moving forward. But, I was wrong. I had Clemson minus 2.5 locked up. I just felt like the other shoe is going to drop. I'm an Atlanta sports fan. I know how this all goes. Clemson's defensive line was every bit as advertised, but ultimately couldn't be happier to be wrong. Couldn't be happier. I mean, again, an absolute scene. Was really impressed with the fans, the way that they showed up. That stadium filled out really pretty well. I think they said they were only about 3,000 away from full capacity, which for Bobby Dodd and historically, like that's really, really good.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. So, yeah. What a win. What a memorable win. Great radio call, Andy Demetra. A lot of thoughts. But, happy to have it all played out.
I don't want to be the guy who plays find the loss on a recap of the biggest win of the Brent Key era. But if you were like looking for the dumb one, it's probably in the 3 road game and 4 week stretch, or at least 3 road games and 4 game stretch with Duke, NC State, and Boston College, and you have a home game against Syracuse in there. That's where you could find one, I guess. But I don't know. This team's looking good right now. I like the consistency. I like Key. Could there be a dumb one? Sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
Good position to be in.
Please find something in the run game other than Haynes King against Temple next week. Like,
would be good.
Hey, Haynes has taken a bit of a bludgeoning both against Colorado and Clemson. Now we can't do this, 8 or 9 times this year. So let's give him a bit of a breather. He can run 10, 12 times, fine, but you don't need to be running 20 and 25 times if you're Haynes King next week. So
right.
Maybe a little bit of Aaron Philo mixed in too. Why not?
Might be for the best long term.
Yeah, certainly would be. We're going a little bit long here, Mike. Anything else before we move on?
No, I think we're good.
Did you see, by the way, that if you were following Section 103 on social media, you got 12% off anything store-wide yesterday after the win over the number 12 Clemson Tigers?
I see that Steven does that.
Yeah.
Time or two.
Steven's a man of the people. He was excited as well. 12% off, if you were keeping an eye, that would have been better than 10% off, but it's no longer available. So if you want 10% off, use promo code GOACC at checkout for 10% off your first order at section103.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, hats, polos, things for men, women, children, babies, something for the whole family. Every Georgia Tech fan in your life needs something from section103.com. That they've got the official gold, all the official word marks. It is officially licensed. It is super high quality. I wear mine all the time. Was wearing it yesterday, wearing it right now. Always wearing section103.com. Once again, use promo code GOACC at checkout for 10% off your first order. Keep an eye out too, because I think there's some Halloween costume packs coming out. If you want to hypothetically dress like a certain Georgia Tech coach for Halloween, I think there are some deals coming your way. So go check them out, section103.com. Appreciate Steven and the gang for their support.
Yep.
Where to, Mike?
Backyard brawl.
Dude.
Never in doubt, baby. 31-24.
West Virginia.
Let's go.
West Virginia 31, Pitt 24 in overtime. I don't know where to begin with this. Eli Holstein, speaking of guys who not comfortable basically this entire game.
Yeah.
Was he like having vertigo or just very slow to make decisions and just all over the place? It felt like the stat line looks okay, but my eyes told me something was going on there.
Well, they had two explosives in the passing game, one for 68 yards and one for 67 yards. So you take that out, and he was
almost half of his yards on 2 plays.
He was 20 of 35 for like 150-ish yards. Yeah, so it looks a lot different. Yeah, he was under a lot of duress in this game, Joey.
Mm-hmm.
And
sacked 6 times, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, West Virginia's defense, 6 sacks, 8 tackles for loss here. Yeah, I mean, the game flipped a little bit. I thought West Virginia was the better team for most of it. It did flip there in the second half. I mean, Pitt jumped out to a 10-point lead, and it was like, okay, they seem to be getting their stuff together here. But yeah, I mean, West Virginia put it together late. I mean, you score what, 10 points in the final 8 minutes or whatever it was, and you storm back, and then we saw how overtime played out. It was a rough scene for Pitt here. This is a very, very bad loss. You don't want to lose this way anyway. Blowing a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter and losing in overtime, you especially don't want to do it in the backyard brawl. And
yeah,
I thought Pitt was in a position here, truthfully, where they were getting outplayed for most of this game, but they found a way to, it's like when you're not having your best golf round and you're just kind of like trying to put things together, and you're like, all right, well, I played horrible, but I shot 86 or something. And you're like, something like that. That's kind of what it felt like for Pitt kind of what it felt like. They weren't playing well, but they found themselves up 10 in the fourth quarter. It's like, all right, let's finish some drives here. Yeah. And they couldn't do it. They just couldn't do it. And it's just really, you go up 24-14, you immediately allow a field goal, and then you had like a 5-play drive, and you left West Virginia plenty of time to march back up the field, and you yield an 87-yard drive to West Virginia in like 2.5 minutes, give them multiple explosives. Just not a good look at all. So
no. I was not impressed with Cade Bell. I felt like, so for as much as Eli Holstein did look like he was in a blender for a lot of this game, I also kept looking around. I was like, who was he supposed to be throwing to? Because it did not seem like there was a whole lot of creativity there. As mentioned, I mean, giving up what you gave up to Ohio, to West Virginia. West Virginia just put up 250 yards in an entire game against a MAC team last week. It's Ohio. Maybe they're okay, but like, I don't know. Maybe I chalk this up to rivalry game weirdness, being on the road in Morgantown, hostile environment. I'll give Pitt credit for that, but like, Pitt objectively should be a significantly better team than this West Virginia team in game 3 under a new coach with like a completely flipped roster.
Yeah.
This is really disappointing. And I tweeted something out like, this is an absolutely ugly loss for Pitt. Goodness gracious. And there are a lot of fan bases out there that when I say something like something was bad for their team, people love to come at me like, oh, I love NC State. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about, whatever. I had multiple Pitt fans come at me like, I can't believe we just like, this is disgusting. Like everyone was upset about this, and understandably, rivalry game, all that. But I don't know. This was not expected from Pitt, to say the least.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's really any heat on Pat Narduzzi. I don't know if there ever really has been within reason, but this is not the thing that's going to get the fan base going.
No. Very down to down. I was pretty disappointed by what I saw out of Pitt's offense, to your point. Just no level of comfort in the pocket for Eli Holstein in this game. And why would he be? The offensive line was getting bludgeoned here.
Yeah.
So,
yep. Running backs were 18 carries for 76 yards here. Could not get anything going in the run game.
Wasn't fantastic. So West Virginia pinned their ears back and just rushed the passer, and Eli Holstein are running all around back there. And he's just not that kind of quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have a lot to say. I just shocked, disappointed. Not a good look for the ACC the way this turns out. I really don't think this West Virginia team is going to be all that good, at least this year.
Right.
Maybe later in the year, but especially right now, they put up 10 points on Ohio and you gave up 24 in regulation. That's not great. Missed opportunity for Pitt here for sure.
That's all I got.
Yeah, we can keep moving. West Virginia 31, Pitt 24 in overtime.
Let's go back to Thursday night, excuse me. NC State 34. Yeah, I know, I faked you out. NC State 34, Wake Forest 24. So, I mean, mentioned this in the rapid recap. I thought it was a tale of two halves. As I do the timestamp for Scott, he'll appreciate that. For NC State especially, I thought they got off to a very, very slow start, obviously. Didn't feel great about what I saw offensively from the game plan early in the game. Didn't feel great about what the defense was putting out there early in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Wake Forest essentially scores on the opening kickoff, which, that is not the way you want to start things when you have trouble winning in Winston-Salem, is to yield an opening kickoff for a touchdown. So that wasn't great. I had just put the game on. I saw it was already 7-0, and I was like, oh, okay. Let me figure out what happened 8 seconds in. So that wasn't great. And then NC State's offense really just couldn't put any drives together. Wake jumps out to a couple score lead, and it seemed like it took a while for NC State to settle in. And by the time they did, they were okay, right? And they got things right in the second half defensively is where I would say I had the most concern about NC State, but they tightened things up and I thought played a lot better in the second half. And that's the reason why they came out on the other side with a win here. But I was impressed by Wake Forest in putting up a good fight here and giving NC State all it could handle.
Yeah. For what it's worth, Wake scored 24 points on their first 31 offensive snaps. Now that includes, as you mentioned, the opening kickoff being run back for a touchdown. There was one short drive. They had an interception, but it was kickoff, return for a touchdown, interception, touchdown, field goal. And that was all 24 points that Wake scored. And then from there, NC State totally shut them down, basically on offense. They barely got a first down the rest of the night, as it were. Weird game. A lot of weirdness. NC State did seem like it kind of took them a little bit to get going. They were down 14-0 early, quickly. And but ultimately NC State, as on balance, later in the game, second half, NC State owned the whole thing. Mike, there was a barbecue food truck that caught on fire out in the parking lot. I mean, this was an extremely ACC game. It was a Thursday night, 2 North Carolina schools. You've got a barbecue food truck causing, smoky conditions. This game was extremely entertaining in all the right ways, I felt like.
A perfect weeknight game. You had Robbie Ashford hitting the umpire in the nuts on a what was supposed to be a crossing route. It's like, yep,
like
perfectly
full,
square.
Like, Paul Crew trying to get the officials to call the game fairly in the longest yard. Yeah. That was the last offensive snap for Wake Forest in this game, was Robbie Ashford hitting the center judge in the stones, basically. Outstanding.
Perfect.
It was the umpire. Sorry, you're right.
Perfect. Yeah. Just absolutely perfect.
Yeah. NC State's 3-0, Mike. How are we feeling about
they
the
are? I mean, I don't know. I mean, they were one of those teams in the ACC we had questions about going into the year. They've now picked up. I refuse to call that Virginia game a non-conference win. I mean, you've beaten 2 conference opponents, right?
Yeah.
It's a manageable schedule until you get to the middle of it, and this is the story, right? It's, can you find a way to manufacture some wins in the back half, which is looking a lot tougher now than it did at the outset of the season. Like, we know Florida State's really good. We know that Miami's really good. Georgia Tech's good. You have 3 really good teams you're playing. 2 of them you do get at home late in the year, but yeah, I mean, I think you feel obviously a lot better about the upcoming 3 games before you get Notre Dame, given that we'll get to Duke maybe next, but like, Duke had a disappointing Saturday. They've lost, 2 games where they probably didn't put out their best stuff. Virginia Tech's on interim coach, and then you have an FCS opponent in Campbell. So, I mean, you can go on a little run here and get to bowl eligibility, and depending on what you do in the back half of the schedule, this could still be like 7 or 8 win NC State, which I think for this year, with all the questions they had going into it, I think would be pretty good.
No, I completely agree. I also just, disclaimer, I'm not predicting this. I'm not wishing for this. I'm just saying you could kind of squint your eyes and tilt your head sideways and see a situation where they're 6-0 and finish 6-6. Because again, you've got 4 teams in the back half of the schedule that are currently ranked, and then a road game at Pitt and a rivalry game against North Carolina. And North Carolina has been terrible so far, just to be very clear about that. Like, if you lose that game based on where I'm standing right now, that's not a team quality thing. That's a rivalry game weirdness thing. That's in Raleigh too, by the way. So, not even a road situation to deal with, but it wouldn't be impossible to beat Duke next week, beat Virginia Tech and Campbell, be 6-0, and then do the Pitt thing from last year. And
fall apart.
Yeah. It's
just
Pitt saying thing. It's not impossible. It's not impossible. Again, NC State been good. They've won games. I think there's just more consistency throughout a game that you need to see. I feel like both sides of the ball, to a certain degree, just kind of disappear for a couple drives at a time, and just do very little to, either move the ball or stop the other team from moving the ball. But when they're on, they're good. It's just a question of, can they stay on for a full 60 minutes in some of these games?
And it's been every game they've played so far. It was in the Virginia game. It was in the opener against East Carolina. It was on Thursday against Wake. So, I mean, it's been every game where it's either taken them a while to get going, or they're letting it, like East Carolina game, they let him back in the game late, and we're very fortunate to come away with the win. The Virginia game was crazy. Like, it's not a 60-minute thing. This feels like the 2017 Miami, where we were like, come on, guys. Like, this team is not as good as everybody wants it. And that part of that was, of course, it was Miami, but like, come on, guys.
Yeah, fair enough. Anything else in this game, Mike?
No, good.
NC State 34, Wake Forest 24 from Thursday night.
Let's go and do the Duke game.
I was hoping you might say that. Tulane 34, Duke 27. Again, Tulane got up big early in this game. Duke, I don't know. Again, coming off the loss to Illinois, didn't feel great. You go 3 and out in your first drive. Tulane scores a touchdown. Miss a field goal in your next drive. Tulane scores another touchdown. You're down 14-0 in the first quarter. Not a great start for the Blue Devils. And they felt like they were just digging out of that hole the entire rest of the game, and ultimately weren't able to get there.
Yeah. Just some, I don't even want to call them uncharacteristic mistakes. I mean, I think it felt uncharacteristic a week ago against Illinois. And now I think it's just characteristic of this year's team through 3 games. This is kind of what they're doing. They're shooting themselves in the foot with missed field goals, or they're turning it over and giving an opponent a short field. I mean, look at the second quarter drive chart. Like, Duke turns over on downs. Tulane immediately scores. You throw a pick. Tulane gets a field goal, right? Like, that kind of stuff's happening. You mentioned the first quarter drive chart already. Yeah, it just felt like Duke was playing from behind. And the game flow was a little bit different from how the Illinois game went a week ago. I felt like Duke, obviously got away from them in the second half, and I felt like they made some mistakes to contribute to that. And in that sense, I felt the same way on Saturday, where Duke, I felt like, made some mistakes that allowed Tulane to get some separation, and ends up being a 7-point win here. But this is the game that Tulane was in control of at halftime, and you're watching this game like Duke's coming, trying to storm back here in the fourth quarter, but you dug yourself such a big hole that, you never really threatened, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. This is disappointing for Duke. You're in a spot where I thought on paper entering the year you had a chance, and this could still be the case. It's 2 non-conference losses, but I thought that Duke was one of those teams that had kind of an inside track to try to make to Charlotte, and now I'm looking at it like, if this is the team you're going to be, you're going to drop some more games in league play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. One of the things that bothers me about games like this where teams get down pretty early is I feel like there are a lot of coaches who fall into this this idea or this meme almost of like, well, we're down by a couple scores, we have to throw the ball. It's like, dude, there's 10 minutes till halftime. You don't have to you're not running out of time here. Like, you can run the ball.
Right.
Duke ran the ball well in this game. They just stopped doing it. Darian Mensah, 51 passing attempts in this game. Like, is that what you brought Darian Mensah in here to do? I don't really think it is. Like, I think you want him to throw probably 30 times a game or something like that, but you want him to use his legs. He didn't use them in this game. You quit running the ball. Like,
yeah,
that's where I feel like Duke kind of got away from the run in this game. And it's, you had some of these drives that stalled out. Like, maybe they wouldn't have if you had committed more to the ground game. I don't know.
Yeah, the game scripted themselves out of the running game, but then they also quit on it a little too early. So, I mean, part of that Mensah throwing it 51 times is you were playing from behind the entire game. But to your point, the broader point, which I think is absolutely right on the money, is that Duke is really having trouble running the football.
Yeah.
And it looked okay statistically against Tulane. There were a couple of explosives, but other than that, it's been really, really difficult for the Blue Devils to run the ball so far this year. Yep. And that's something I think we'll have to continue to monitor.
Mike, I'm going to channel my inner Caleb Presley here. Do you mind if we do a new segment brought to you by Dude Wipes?
Jesus God. Let's do it.
This segment is called Are They Cheeks? Mike, is Duke cheeks? They might be. There's part of me starting to wonder.
Cloudy with a chance of cheeks.
Well, don't worry. We'll get to BC, which I'm told sometimes stands for booty cheeks. Here.
Oh, there it is. But, Perfect.
Mike, this is 2 weeks in a row that Duke has, in a lot of ways, kind of disappointed in the way that they've looked just visually. And, obviously to some degree scoring and what the scoreboard looks like, but just watching them play, like, how sure are we that Duke is as good as we kind of thought that they were going to be? Like, is there a chance that they're not good?
I don't think that there is a chance they're not good. Yeah.
Okay. Might be cheeks then.
Might be cheeks. Cloudy with a chance of cheeks.
It's going to be confusing if we turn the segment into a half Dude Wipes segment, half weather forecast segment. Yes. We'll see. All right. Duke on Cheeks watch, we'll say.
Cheeks out after dark. Yeah.
Fair enough. Tulane 34, Duke 27. Anything else there, Mike?
No, we're good. Where do you want to go next?
Well, we were basically already there. Stanford 30, Boston College 20. Mike, do you mind if we do a new segment brought to you by Dude Wipes?
Cheeks after dark.
It's called Are They Cheeks? Boston College, are they cheeks, Mike?
Oh, this was not a good look.
No, it was not.
Did Michigan State beat Stanford twice? I guess that's my first question. What do you think? Do you think Michigan State beat
Boston College? Yeah.
So I'm sorry. Did Michigan State beat? It's late. Did Michigan State beat Boston College twice?
Entirely possible. I mean, again, Boston College. Watching the amount of this game that I got to watch was like, Boston College looks like they're in a blender. Like, they look like a team that was playing a late night game last Saturday, traveled back home, now traveled all the way across the country, are playing in front of literally dozens of people. Like, they look like they didn't know where they were half the time. Like, I kind of understand it from that standpoint, but like, you only get to play this game 12 times a year, Mike. And it sucks if you're Boston College and you kind of have something of expectations of being a 7 or 8 win team, and watching this performance against this Stanford team that has so far looked like what they had this season. Like, man, Ben Goldbranson, almost 200 yards, no picks, a touchdown through the air. Like, I don't know. Boston College just completely out of sorts in this game. I was really disappointed in what they looked like, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, a few things here. The Boston College defense let Stanford run all over them, right? They had 223 yards rushing. Micah Ford led the team in rushing, 157 yards and a touchdown. That was rough. And then you turned it over 3 times. You had an interception and 2 fumbles. And that's a killer. I mean, you can't be doing that on the road in conference play. You just can't be doing it against a Stanford team that has been playing well enough defensively, right? We've mentioned this the first few weeks of the season. The issues with Stanford have been on the offense. And there have been a lot of them. And it's been so bad that it's like, okay, your season is going to be like, it's going to be 3-9 because you literally can't move the football. But Goldbranson was better in this game. I mean, he's never going to be great, but he was better. And they ran the ball well, and they'd found good balance offensively. And the defense played well. So, I mean, you made Boston College extremely one-dimensional. They couldn't run the ball. BC's another one of those teams that has really struggled to run it. They're putting a lot on their quarterback. So Duke's doing that with Mensa. BC's doing it with Lonergan, where they're making him throw it all over the field. And I think this comment from AJ, we should bring on the screen because I think he's 1,000% correct. Stanford's a decent quarterback away from being respectable. I agree with that. I mean, they got some other stuff wrong with them. Like, not everything works 1,000% of the time. But like they really do have a quarterback problem, and they found enough balance on Saturday that it didn't really matter. Like, Goldbranson went out, he was able to be comfortable, and yeah, they played well here. BC's got to get out of their own way. You know, they lose a brutal game in East Lansing, then they have to go across the country. And we talked about this on the preview. Like, let's keep an eye on this game because there could be some weird late night weirdness.
Well,
I don't
was
know.
there.
And I don't know. I'm not like totally out on Boston College yet. Like, this is a bad loss. It's not a great look because Stanford's not going to win very many games this year, I don't think. But I'm not totally out on BC yet. Schedule's easy for the most part. They got a couple tough games, but like, schedule's pretty easy. Like, that Clemson game looks a lot more winnable at home in a few weeks. So yeah, there are some winnable games in front of them here. And yeah, I'm not totally out on Boston College yet. I think they do need to stop shooting themselves in the foot, though.
Yeah, Dylan Lonergan also had some tough moments here. He's got to be a little bit more consistent, a little bit better. I mean, Boston College here has an off week next week, a bit of a reset. They get Cal in 2 weeks in Chestnut Hill. I think we're going to learn a lot about what this Boston College team is going to be in game number 4 because, again, you get a bit of a reset week here next week, and then if you don't look good at home 2 weeks from right now, we got bigger problems. But that's a winnable game at home. You've got Cal now making the cross country trek, so that's where I'm going to be very curious to see kind of what Boston College is looking at. I'm really hung up on this comment about Stanford being a quarterback away from being like solidly decent. I think there's something to that. The run game and the defense look fine.
I think there is too. And when they committed to running it in week 1, like week 0, we were talking about like how bad that Hawaii game looked. But when they committed to running it in week 0, they looked good. Like, good is a relative term, but like the running game looked good enough. Like we made a comment about it. It looked good enough, and the defense was hanging in there. So, I mean, they're not a phenomenal defense, but like, they're not going to get absolutely shredded every game they play. Like, they're serviceable enough defensively, and when they run the ball and commit to running it well, it's okay. What do you got at quarterback? So I think they're a quarterback away from the middle of the pack in the ACC. A lot of teams in there, and I think Stanford would be right there if they got that figured out.
Yep. A couple more things, and then we can get out of here. Number one, I want to bring up this comment from Will Secor. I can confidently say that Stanford is not the worst P4 team in California. That is true, as Virginia Tech fired Brent Pry and beat UCLA to it by like 12 minutes, it seems like. Pete Thamel had a really busy 45 minutes around lunchtime today as UCLA fired Deshaun Foster. So that is a good point. Valid.
That's also a warning sign to Virginia Tech. Do not hire a school legend to be your head coach unless you're really, really sure.
Yeah, exactly. Last thing here, Mike, is I do want to follow up on your comment about Stanford being a quarterback away from being the middle of the pack. That's actually not true. If you look at the standings in the ACC right now, Stanford is in fact tied for the lead in the ACC as Georgia Tech, NC State, and Stanford all 1-0 in conference play. So just throwing it out there, everybody should be bowing down to your new conference overlords, Georgia Tech, NC State, and Stanford, as you know, having the inside track to Charlotte, clearly.
No wonder this is going to be Basketball Conference, the Sun Belt podcast in 5 years.
The ACC has never been in a better place, Mike.
Yeah.
Never been in a better place.
We'll worry about that when the time comes, as I say.
Stanford 30, Boston College 20. Number 5, Miami 49. Number 18, South Florida 12. We've made the people wait long enough for this one. Because there's really not much to talk about. Miami was dominant. Looked very, very good again. I have very few concerns. My biggest concern is that Miami might actually be really, really good this year. And that's what I'm concerned about, Mike.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, I want to be a hater and I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still time.
Yeah.
They're still coached by Mario Cristobal.
I was going to say, yeah.
I can't wait for the YouTube comments about that throwaway comment I just made.
I'll say this because we've already talked about Clemson, and there's no Florida State game to talk about this week. With Georgia Tech beating Clemson, I did find myself looking at the kind of who does everyone play of it all in terms of like what does the Charlotte matchup look like right now? Because Georgia Tech, again, the rest of the conference slate, not intimidating. They don't get Miami. They don't get Florida State. They don't get Louisville, like all this. Miami does have Louisville. They do have Florida State here in 3 weeks, I think. They do not play Clemson. Florida State plays Miami, obviously, but as Clemson as well. So there's some of these, somebody's got to lose these games. Schedule-wise, though, Miami, if you beat Florida State, I mean, the world's your oyster. You're probably going to Charlotte. It would be a little bit shocking if you lost twice down the stretch after that, especially with the way they've looked so far.
Yeah, I mean, they look like one of the best teams in the country.
Yeah,
that's not even over exaggeration. I mean, they do.
Yeah,
the offensive line's good. Carson Beck has been. I mean, he threw a couple picks in this game that were kind of dumb, but like he's looked healthy and very good. They're running the ball well. Their defensive line, especially, is really, really good. I mean, don't do the game management stuff, and you're going to be in good shape. They are legitimately. They look legitimately to me one of the best teams in the country. What
we've seen so far, yeah. And it's early, and I think it's fair to have maybe a couple of questions about exactly how good is Notre Dame, especially after what we saw last night against Texas A&M.
Yeah,
but again, Miami looked pretty convincing in both that game and this game this weekend. So,
yeah,
time for things to change, but not necessarily expecting it at this point. So
things are good in the trenches.
Yeah, it goes a long way in the sport too.
Not cheeks. They're just getting cheeks.
Well, I'm sure there's some pretty big cheeks. Anyways, Miami 49, South Florida 12. A couple more quick ones here.
Take my talents to South Beach. And
I mean, if you've never been, speaking of cheeks, Cal 27, Minnesota 14. Again, a really good outing from JKS here. Really impressed with the way that Cal's defense played against this Minnesota offense. Like, Minnesota's offense was never going to just completely light the world on fire, but they are a really physical team that will bludgeon you with the run game. Cal stood up to it decently, I felt like. A pretty solid performance from the Bears and getting a 2-score win at home. I wonder a little bit too, there has been a bit of a trend with some of these Big Ten, like classic Big Ten teams going to the West Coast to play Oregon and Washington and USC and UCLA. I wonder if there's a little something that maybe we should have thought of about this game as well. But either way, Cal 3-0, got a win over a Big Ten team here in their pocket. Really good start to the year for Cal. Better than I thought they were going to be, for sure.
Can I read you the second half drive chart for Minnesota?
Oh, hell yeah. Hit me.
Interception, touchdown, missed field goal, downs.
Not really how you draw it up.
No, I mean, it just simply wasn't great.
And it was a 6-point game at halftime, by the way. So, like, this was not out of reach at all. But, yeah, Minnesota screwed the pooch a little bit there on offense in the second half.
Yeah.
And or Cal's defense was really nasty.
The defense is legit for Cal. Now, I don't know how much I want to take away. It's been pretty good so far, but I don't know how much I want to take away from this in particular because I'm not sure how good Minnesota's offense is. And they were without Darius Taylor in this game as well. That's notable. I mean, he's their star running back. That's, you didn't have him. That's important to note. So Minnesota is losing their best part of their offense. But yeah, there are some questions I do have about Cal's offense still outside of JK. JKS really fun. They are still, and this is in the comments as well, Cal's running game is a big mystery. Lifeless in the first half, 10 to 15-yard chunks. They're trying to run it down the second half. I agree. And they just haven't been as consistent running the football yet. So you're putting a lot on your freshman quarterback. I don't know how sustainable that is. So it's just something to note.
To your point about questions about Minnesota's offense, Minnesota this season did put up 23 on Buffalo, who then gave up 28 to Kent State yesterday. So might be something there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not great.
Yeah. Row that boat all the way back to Minnesota. Anything else here, Mike?
We got a couple more, don't we?
Cal 27, Minnesota 14. Last big one, really, that we got to talk about.
Yeah.
SMU 28, Missouri State 10. Again, this was a really disjointed effort from SMU. They got down 10-0 in the first quarter of this game, and they were able to kind of get it together just enough to get some margin here. But overall, for a Missouri State team that's still, again, they're 3 games in as an FCS or an FBS program, really was hoping for a little bit more from SMU here. And again, maybe a sandwich spot. You're between Baylor and TCU. You got that game next week. Maybe could have, should have seen this coming. But again, even with that being said, was hoping for a little bit more against a pretty bad Missouri State program.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty fortunate. Missouri State had a few turnovers. They had some missed field goals. The one interception coming out of halftime ended up being pretty critical because Missouri State was deep in SMU territory, trailing 14-10, about to take the lead on SMU, threw a pick in the back corner of the end zone. So, I mean, SMU, I thought they tightened it up defensively. I thought defensively they were okay the entire game, really, because it was Missouri State. A little concerned about the offense here, laying a bit of an egg. Got some separation, but yeah, you entered this game, you were a 4-touchdown favorite, and you really struggled to gain separation. Yeah, that's an issue. So, yeah, I don't know, just too many mistakes. Kevin Jennings threw an interception. Romello Brinson had a fumble. You just let Missouri State hang around for a while.
I was going to say your first 5 offensive possessions of the game: interception, fumble, missed field goal, 6 plays punt, 6 plays punt against Missouri State. You were in the playoff last year. Like what? So again, sleepy situation, road game, sandwich spot, all that stuff. I'm curious to know what the early spread is. They're going to Fort Worth to play for the Iron Skillet next week. SMU is 6.5-point dog on the road.
Feels right, based on what we've seen so far.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll talk about that game in the week 4 preview. Anything else here, Mike?
No, I think we're on to games of less consequence. Finally,
SMU 28, Missouri State 10. Syracuse 66, Colgate 24. This is from Friday night. The Orange, again, pretty dominant from start to finish. Good outing from Steve Angeli, 382 through the air and 5 touchdowns. Ricky Collins got in for a drive there at the end. Ran the ball for the better part of 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. Really just not threatened at all by a pretty bad Colgate team. So this is what you wanted to see if you're a Syracuse fan.
I saw a comment in the chat earlier. I forget who said it, but it was very funny, saying that Fran Brown has to brush his teeth now before he showers with his wife, or that's not what it said. Before he showers and gets into bed with his wife or something.
Is that a Colgate joke?
It was.
There you go. Well played. Well played.
I butchered it and ended up being funnier. So that was an inadvertent joke. But
basketball conference after dark.
Yeah. Cheeks.
There you go. Syracuse 66, Colgate 24, Virginia 55, William & Mary 16. Again, a pretty start to finish, just demolishing here for Virginia. They scored 42 points in the first half. Everyone looks good. It seems like offense, at the very least, if there's going to be a problem for this Virginia team, it's probably not the offense.
And it's not, and it hasn't been. So
school record 700 yards of offense in this game for the Hoos.
Yeah, with a lot of backups also.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty impressive.
Yep. Good outing for Virginia. Virginia 55, William & Mary 16. Finally, North Carolina 41, Richmond 6. I'm being honest here and genuine. Felt like an improvement from last week against Charlotte.
It did feel like an improvement. Now, Richmond is worse than Charlotte, but
maybe. I think Jeff Sagarin says something else, by the way.
Okay, but I can. The one thing I can confirm coming out of this game is Richmond is very bad.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, tough scene here for sure.
It did feel like an improvement because they ran the ball very well, and that's been they've been a little pass happy through the first few weeks, and they ran the ball better here. So I think that's an encouraging sign, and hopefully it continues against better, in air quotes, competition.
Yeah. Is UCF better competition or not? I'm not sure.
They're bad. They're Cheeks, by the way.
Yeah, decidedly Cheeks.
Decidedly Cheeks.
2-0, but that's a close win over Jacksonville State and a blowout win over NC-A&T. So
yeah.
North Carolina a 6.5 point dog in that game.
I don't know. Maybe
we'll see. Yeah. Speaking of Cheeks, you want to do a new segment sponsored by Dude Wipes? North Carolina 41, Richmond 6.
Talked about recap of all teams that are Cheeks.
There you go. There you go. Mike, anything else before we get into some weekly awards?
I think we're all set. Virginia Tech's the worst team in the ACC.
Ooh. Honestly, maybe.
Yeah.
And Dennis, UCF has a former Georgia Tech basketball player as a backup tight end. I did not know that. Tell me more. Very curious. You want to give out some awards?
Yeah, let's give it out. Cheeks.
Careful. The Go ACC Moment of the Week award. Can I just go ahead and give it to Robbie Ashford for hitting the official in the stones with his last passing attempt?
Which one do you want to choose from in that game?
Yeah, there were multiple options. The burning barbecue food truck was another fantastic addition that just perfectly college football stuff.
That was just a bad feed, but no, it was just smoky in the stadium.
Yeah. I saw an image on Twitter at one point, and I was like, is the press box on fire too? Nope, just that food truck that they got a good camera shot of.
Yeah.
So, Go ACC to that. The Kobe Bryant Memorial Volume Shooter of the Week Award.
Oh, God, I haven't even looked for this one.
Yeah.
Duke's running game is a good candidate if you can get to the box score before I can.
I was going to go to Pitt's running game, by the way.
Oh, that's another good one.
Yeah, they're running backs. A whole lot of carries for a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
What we say was 18 carries for 75 yards. 18 carries for 75 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kobe.
Kobe.
Duke's run game, we said. I feel like it doesn't look as bad in the box score, but 19 carries for, 116, 137 yards. That's not so bad. Yeah. 19 carries for 137. Yeah, I think Pitt's taking that one. Personally,
I'm going to hand out another award to Pitt.
Oh boy,
Brian. It's okay. It's okay. It's kid friendly. The Brian Van Gorder Memorial You Tried Award goes to Pitt, trying to close out the game against West Virginia. What the hell, Pitt?
Big yikes. Can I give a new award, Mike?
Please, the floor is yours.
I'm seeing the look on your face. I'm finding the terror just hilarious. Can I give out the Bobby Petrino You Didn't Try Award? For the Virginia Tech Hokies? Yeah. Who did not try at all in that game against Old Dominion, and it showed.
Quit.
What else do we have? Did we forget anything?
Here. Oh, no. The Queen Elizabeth II Memorial You Died Award goes to the Brent Pry era at Virginia Tech. It's done.
We hardly knew ye.
Seriously.
Yeah. Good times. It's been fun. It's been real. I don't know if it's been real fun for Virginia Tech with Brent Pry. Team of the week.
Jackets.
I think it's the Jackets. Massive upset. Got off the schneid. First win since 2014 against Clemson. Big time stuff.
Honorable mention. Old Dominion for putting Brent Pry out of his misery.
Honorable mention Cal and Stanford. Both getting wins that we didn't really expect them to get.
Yeah, for sure.
Them. Looked good. Player of the week.
Haynes
King. Probably, probably where you go with that. Absolute warrior that just dragged his team to get there. So, honorable mention KS for Cal.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Do you want to give me an attempt on that, Mike?
Jaron Kiave Songa Palutele.
11 out of 10. Stuck the landing.
11 out of 10. Hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Better than he pronounces it.
Better than he pronounces it, which is good because that's his name. So,
honorable mention Stanford's Micah Ford, 17 carries for 157 and a touchdown in that win for Stanford. So credit to him as well.
Another worthy candidate.
Bryant Wesco, by the way, big game for Clemson, even in a loss. 7 for
losing effort.
Yeah.
There it is.
Which tells you it's time for bed, Mike. Anything else before we work on getting out of here?
Nope.
We are going to come back. We're going to preview week 4. I figure that's probably
Virginia
Wednesday
Tech,
night.
Real quick. Virginia Tech cheeks, by the way.
Yeah. Are they cheeks? Yes. Hard yes. Absolutely. Mike, we're going to come back. We're going to preview week 4. We got a number of ACC games next week. We're starting to really get into like proper conference play. We've got Syracuse and Clemson. We've got NC State and Duke. We've got a big one between Miami and Florida. We've got the Iron Skillet, SMU and TCU. A lot of good stuff. So keep it tuned here. We will keep you updated as the ACC season goes on. Mike, follow us. Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you find your podcasts in audio format, preferably on YouTube, youtube.com/@the-ACC-football-podcast. Hit that subscribe button, hit the bell. You'll be notified when we're going to go live. Really appreciate the people here in the chat with us tonight. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of really good engagement. I know a lot of Georgia Tech fans were pretty excited to get in here and talk about the win that was. Apparently the Falcons won today. That's news to me. I think apparently it went well in Minneapolis, but who knows? Mike, where else on the social medias?
Facebook. I don't know. I don't know if we're on Facebook anymore.
We're on Twitch, twitch.tv/basketball conference. If you want to watch us there, you can. That's an option. Go do that.
Can't say I've been on that website recently.
It's been a minute. Mike, you want to come back and preview week 4?
Yes, I do.
Let's do that. We're in mid-season form, baby. We're in good shape. Solid tight little hour and 29 here on the recap show.
And we spent 40 minutes previewing 2 games, our alma maters, for very different reasons.
That's right. Yeah. There was some newsworthy stuff really for both of them. So that's the why, if you're wondering.
Yep.
But I'm sure the people aren't wondering. Mike, have a good night. We'll talk soon, and look forward to previewing week 4 with you.
Yep. Excited for it.
All right. For that guy, Mr. Mike McDaniel, thank you guys to the folks in the chat. I'm Joey Weaver. We will talk to you again very, very soon. Until next time, go ACC.